First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashim means the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honor to the elder bishops and apostles of a great millstone that taught me the truth. In today's video, I wanted to go into how Russia will attack America. Okay? Russia will attack America. Okay, and World War III is coming. So let's play this clip right here.
As Russia advances on its enemy, a warning these attacks could soon stretch beyond Ukraine's borders.
We are Russia's next target.
NATO chief Mark Rutte urging allies to step up coordination against Russian aggression, suggesting the threat of a world war is as close as ever.
Russia has brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured.
The process to peace is only inching closer. Volodymyr Zelensky met with US officials who he says want Ukraine to withdraw entirely from the Donbas region. That area would be demilitarized as a free economic zone. The Ukrainian leader wants assurances Russia won't take over, with any territorial concessions to be approved in a referendum and backed by robust security guarantees, including from Australia.
And we underlined it impossible without Europe and all members of our coalition of the willing, from Canada to Japan, Australia and New Zealand.
The updated 20-point plan now rests with Donald Trump before it even gets to Moscow, with word of an understanding on the agreement by Christmas.
It's, a little bit complicated because you're cutting up land in a certain way. It's not the easiest thing. It's sort of like a complex real estate deal times 1,000.
Unlikely the gift of peace is near. In London, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Alright, so as you heard there, right, first thing was you had the head of NATO warning that Russia will attack Europe next. And second, he said that we have to prepare for a state of war such as what our grandparents and our great-grandparents went through, which he was referring to World War I and World War II. So, right there coming out of the devil's mouth that a war is coming, and specifically from Russia. Now let's go ahead and get the prophecies where this is written. So when you go into Ezekiel chapter 37 or 38 and verse 1, it says, "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." Now when you go into, what is it talking about when it says Gog and the land of Magog? It's talking about Russia. Now, let's search it up on Google just to show you that these scholars even know that. So, what is Gog and Magog in the Bible? Let's see. Right. Geographical. Magog is linked to Japheth's descendants, Genesis 10, suggesting northern lands near Black Caspian Seas, probably ancient Scythians or modern day Turkey/Russia. And that's exactly what it is. Okay. Gog and Magog, let's read this right here. It says Gog and Magog are symbolic figures from biblical prophecy. Ezekiel 38:39, representing forces of evil or a great northern enemy coalition that will attack Israel in the end times, with modern interpretations often linking them to Russia, Gog as leader, Magog as land allies, and surrounding nations like Turkey, Iran, Sudan, and Libya. So, that right there, is 100% on point. And it says Russia, Rosh, often seen as the primary nation led by Gog, coming from the uttermost north. And there you have it. So going into this is talking about Russia. Say, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And that's what the Lord is doing right now. Okay, he's putting hooks into the jaws of these Russians. Symbolic for he's the one that's making them go to war. He's forcing them, to get in conflict with America, Israel, NATO. He is the one in control. And, to turn them back, as it says, to that old Soviet, Cold War spirit of, just being the savages that they were. No mercy. So it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, right? So these nations are going to be allies, with Russia. And Persia, Iran, before it was called Iran, was called Persia, right? That's talking about the Iranians. And you can see how Russia is backing them tooth and nail, when it comes to everything. So ultimately how this world war, the third world war, is going to start is going to be by the way of Israel. Okay, those small hats. It says in Jeremiah 50 that the least of the flock shall draw them out. Right, so they are the least of the flock. They are the ones that are going to draw out these nations to World War III. And the way it's going to happen is Israel is going to get, attack Iran, which they've already done that, but it's going to escalate to another level. And who backs Iran? Russia. Who backs Israel? America. And that's how you get Israel against America, or Slovakia. You get Russia and Iran against America. And the nuclear destruction then follows. So it says, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? So Russia is going to be a guard unto these smaller nations. Iran, Turkey, Libya, Ethiopia. Russia is going to be that face. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Right, so going into how Russia is going to attack the land of Israel, is going to attack those small hats. And it says that, that attack is going to be like a cloud covering the land, going into all those missiles covering the sky. Like in the scene 300, when those Persians, I believe it was the Persians. Yeah, when those Persians were attacking the 300, you just saw all those arrows just covering the sky. It's exactly how it's going to be, but with missiles. So it says that after they do this, thus saith Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. Right, so while they're destroying the land of Israel, and those small hats, they're going to have an evil thought, and they're going to say, let's go to the land of unwalled villages, aka America. Now, why is it called the land of unwalled villages? Because every state is essentially a village, but there are no literal walls. The land of unwalled villages, just imaginary lines. It says, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Right, so they're going to destroy this place, and it's going to be by the way of fire. Let's end it with that. Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Right, what's coming is different than all the ancient battles where they were fighting with swords and spears and shields. What's coming now is thermonuclear fire, missiles. So I'll leave it there. That is the prophetic breakdown of what we just heard right here. Hopefully that was edifying. Without and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of great millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.